We are born free, and we will die free. The time in between, though, that's complicated. In that time, governments, institutions, and our egos will limit our ability to find true freedom in this life. These are real stories of real people overcoming the odds, persevering in justice, and unlocking their potential. Welcome to Finding Freedom. Here's your host, John Oderman.
Hey, what is happening, Liberty Lions? Great to have you here on a Friday afternoon, live streaming, Finding Freedom. Normally today, you might get me mores, but I think you'll find myself and Rico and Brian tomorrow, maybe around this same time for me mores to record that show. But today, got something really fun. If you watched my attempted live stream yesterday, I had a different plan for this week. I planned on bringing on Mike Murphy to talk about what he is doing down there in South America with his healing center. We rescheduled that. That's going to happen next week. Technical issues, all that stuff. It's all good, though, because I think this works out for the better. Sometimes, in fact, I know it works out for the better. And sometimes life has a way of doing that by throwing you a curveball. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to do with my show this week, with the election just occurring, Trump winning, of course, all this momentum, everything in the news, we're talking about the election. And I thought, who better to bring on this show, and I'll bring him in right now while I introduce him, is my friend Brian Engelman. Brian from the New American Media, host of the show Agreed to Disagree, and also a sports show, The Unhappy Hour. And Brian was on right after the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And I was actually on Brian's show yesterday, so you can check that out. I'll link to it on the show notes page. I told Brian yesterday that really that conversation was when I decided that I was going to be kind of going 100% away from the Libertarian Party and getting behind the Donald Trump Make America Great Again campaign, which I did from there. And did I win the election for him? I don't know. I guess we'll never know. What do you think, Brian?
Well, look, let's just say what it is. You're in Pennsylvania. Talk about the importance of Pennsylvania just for a second. Yeah. But before you tell me about Pennsylvania, because you were at the epicenter, when people are like, oh, I'm in California, my vote doesn't matter, it's going blue. They go, oh, you're in Kentucky, it's going red. Who gives a shit? Like, you were in like maybe the one state that actually mattered. I want to ask you about that, of course, but the thing that you just led with, that conversation, was I giving you an impassioned sales pitch by chance? Maybe directly or indirectly? Was I landing on thick? I don't really remember. I just felt when I saw Trump get attacked, I felt personally attacked. And that elevated me up to 11 like Spinal Tap. So I don't really remember exactly how persistent I was in our conversation.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of course, the gravity of what we all witnessed. Yeah. I mean, not directly, but saw videos of it on Twitter, and combined with just the shadiness behind it and all the videos we saw of people who were on the ground, who pointed to the police officers saying there's someone on the roof with a gun, and nothing happened. So it was all of that. And at the same time, getting to talk with you, who, I knew that you were already fully on board with Trump. It just kind of all came together at that moment. And yeah, I don't think you, I don't think you gave me a direct, impassioned speech that I needed to support Donald Trump. But yeah, I think I could definitely sense, the urgency in what you were saying, that this was the way to go at this time in America.
I was, like I said, activated in a way that I've never felt activated. That really was the Democrat deep state demonic strategy. That's all they had. They realized they were cooked. They were cooked with Biden. They were cooked with Harris. They were cooked if Trump was around. Fail. Here we are. But we're talking about Pennsylvania again, and we're talking about the assassination attempt. That was your state as well. Your state was the Remember when they gave Sarah Palin grief for talking about bullseye, putting bullseye in districts? It's like, here, we're going to target these and we're going to try to win in these 4 areas. Did you just point a rifle at those 4 areas? It's like, no, you nitwits. And that's what the Democrats have done. The story of what just occurred is a story of us collectively saying, Democrats, you have got to get your shit together. You framed the sitting president for treason based on lies that you funded for. Like that you funded for. That's not right. That you funded, that you paid for. Those two phrases coming together at once.
People understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Hillary, Obama, Biden, Harris, they were all in on this. And we're just tired of common sense things being twisted into something perverse, or racist, misogynist, sexist, this, that, xenophobic. It's just slander, slur. All they're doing is just they're throwing darts at us. And you could say they don't stick because they're not true, fine, but they're made of sharp metal. They are sticking in your flesh, and you put up with some of them. You put your head down, you kind of start blocking yourself. They start throwing more darts. The darts get a little longer, a little heavier. And at some point, and that point was the 2024 election, we said, you know what? I don't know how I found myself in the position of taking your constant abuse, but kindly, please, F off. I cleaned that up from where I intended to go. And I was going to give you a double-barreled gesture, but I can't remember how friendly of a show for the family this one is, John. So I just cleaned it up for you. But yeah, I think the story of this election is just a complete repudiation of the Obama era slander tactics of Cloward Piven, the Marxist strategy, accuse them of what you're currently guilty of, hence the framing Trump for treason, Russia gate, while they were committing treason against Trump to overthrow him in a coup, just like they overthrew Biden in a coup to install Harris. There's nobody happier than this election than Joe Biden, smiling like a GD jack-o'-lantern right now. I mean, you've never seen Joe Biden or the AI version or the robot or the actor playing him in the skin suit. I don't even know which version of Biden we have, but this version was happy as shit. All right. So there's a huge power struggle that's been occurring behind the scenes with their puppets right up in front of your face and the people behind the scenes, or Obama in the basement. Obama's era is done. It's a complete repudiation. And people say, oh, I hope Trump doesn't go in and it's revenge and going after his political opponents. It's like, no. Don't get it twisted. That is exactly what I'm talking about. They're accusing the other person of what they're guilty of doing. So what you have to do is go after the legitimate criminal enterprise that committed all of these atrocities through COVID, through Trump's impeachments and the coup they staged against the sitting president with the help of the intelligence agencies. All of the legitimate, obvious crimes and traitorous actions of these people need to be ramifications. Justice must be served for the legitimate criminal stuff, instead of all of the times Trump was hoaxed and framed and set up in Georgia, in New York, here, there, and set up in Pennsylvania, trying to give a speech on stage, literally. Yeah. Crosshairs. So, yeah, I mean, just back to the Pennsylvania thing. I mean, you guys were the epicenter, and that's kind of how it all circles back for me. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that was a heck of a weave there. We talked about this on your show. I really
they say, sir. They call it a bit of a wide weave. They said, sir, you're weaving. I said, I'm a genius. I went to Wharton. I got to weave. It takes a lot of intelligence to weave left and right and So the wide weave. I appreciate Trump's wide weave because I do the same thing. I paint with really broad brushes, and it's like, what was the question again? I go, I don't know. Yeah. What day is this? But I have a lot of thoughts on the topics for sure. And I like exploring them because half the time I don't know what I'm thinking until I have to finish a sentence. And it's through forcing myself to talk that I get to figure out what it is that I was pondering. So I like talking in free form and wide weaving.
That's why you're a natural podcaster. So I'm glad you figured out what a podcast is, because now I should have said that at the top of the show. Not only are Brian's podcasts Agree to Disagree and The Unhappy Hour, not only are they on YouTube, they're also now in podcast form on Spotify. So you can check them out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But to get to Pennsylvania first, and then I want to tee you up. And we got
That might not
essentially,
take
I don't know if we'll get to everything, but I got 4 really different videos that I want to get to, which I think will paint the picture for really what happened in this election and how we got to from, Trump during the primaries when everyone was saying, the left media, the right media was saying, this guy shouldn't be running. He can't win. There's all these legal cases. This is crazy. What's happening? We're handing another 4 years to Joe Biden. With everything that's happened, people forget like that was the narrative back then during the Republican primary. It's not the narrative now, obviously. But Pennsylvania, I talked about this a little bit, but not a lot on Brian McWilliams' show on Wednesday. I've been on a lot of Brian shows recently.
Hey, by the way, I need to jump on with these meme wars. Is it just that you show awesome memes and we talk about the
Yeah, that's all we do. Yeah, we'll have you on. We'll have you on in a week or two. Yeah,
that's as soon as possible. I love that concept.
Yeah, but Pennsylvania, it was the epicenter. It was wild. The amount of text messages that I got, I can't even I keep saying a number. I'm like, no, probably more than that. Like I said, 1,000. I'm like, no, probably more than 1,000. I don't know. Well north of 1,000 text messages in the span of a month. The last week was just insanity. Every ad on the TV was a Trump or a Kamala ad. The famous ad that I think really did work a lot in these swing states, where Trump called out the transgender agenda, called out allowing men to play in women's sports. It ended with saying, she's for they, them, he's for
we,
he's
us,
for you,
or
something like that, or you, us. I forget what. Anyway, it was. They said it better than I just said it there. It was a very, very good ad.
It was an excellent ad.
Yeah.
I remembered watching it, going, "Wow, she's for they, them, and he's for we, us, or something."
We,
like
us,
that.
or something like that. Yeah. Anyway,
That
it
was
was fantastic, and it resonated with regular people.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing clips of The View and clips of these different CNN, MSNBC shows. How did this happen? How does half the country hate women and hate gays? And it's like, you guys are just totally missing what happened here. And I don't want to. You don't want to clue them in too much, because then they might change, which I don't think they will. I don't think they have the capability, and we'll talk about this later. I don't think they have the capability to change quickly. It might take them 10 years to pivot.
It depends on how hard and how quickly Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have to pay for the consequences of their traitorous actions. The way that they have pushed brain damaging propaganda on the people to literally cause them to live in a state of fight or flight syndrome. It's mental abuse. These people are monsters. It's demonstrably false, the stuff that they're saying. Obama even said the Fine People hoax the day or two before the damned election. He knows what he's doing. He's the puppet master behind it. Not to take you far off track. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I just want to start out. So I want to start with the clip that you sent me. I think that was yesterday. And what this is Vivek Ramaswamy during one of maybe the last Republican primary debate, where essentially he just lays into the Republican Party and says, we're on track to lose because of Ronna McDaniels. She's a loser. All she's done is lose. And I might as well stop talking and just let him talk, because he lays it all out. Before we
press play, let me add one more piece of context. Remember that Ron DeSantis, he was the one. Look, Fox News is not on your side. They occasionally are, and Gutfeld's great. But look, they fired Tucker and they settled some pretend lawsuit they're never going to pay, allegedly. You had DeSantis occasionally doing okay, but he wasn't energizing the room. Everybody knew it was the MAGA party. DeSantis was trying to jump in there and take that if they're able to lawfare Trump into oblivion. Vivek was the one that was winning the people over every time the guy talked, and he would occasionally go Hiroshima in moments like this. I mean, he came with the biggest weapons he had in his arsenal, and he used his opportunity to just demolish. And when this was shared yesterday, and I'll shut up in a second, but when this was shared and I caught it, I'm like, oh, I had a feeling of like a concussive wave of sound hit me in the chest. Like you're standing next to something and the kick drum starts and you're at a big concert and you're like, oh my Lord. Vivek doing what he did here to oust the person that needed to go, to put the team in place, to actually fight for legitimacy is one of the major things that happened in this cycle, and I want to make sure we pay close attention to it and give this dude his roses.
For sure. Because we would not have gotten to, the Trump campaign would not have gotten to where it needed to be without this happening. So this is really historic in hindsight.
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats...
Can you pause for a second, John? Just before we have too much to unpack. Why did it take until now for Vivek to say this? You're telling me he's the only person that ever thought, instead of bringing Chris... I always confuse him and his Chris Wallace,
yeah.
You bring Chris Wallace out to repeat the Fine People hoax on Fox News during the Biden-Trump debate. Are you kidding me? A known hoax as bad as when Hillary Biden staged a coup with the deep state alphabet agencies to overthrow the sitting president, Donald Trump.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's taking until now that you decide, maybe we should talk to people that are at least not going to be openly antagonistic or intentionally kneecapping us through lies, deception, and frame jobs, running a hoax on the American people against us. Why would you hire someone to harm you? It's insane. But it took Vivek to stand up and say it, and man, that set the dominoes in action, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what he was essentially saying was we're aligning ourselves with the wrong group, with the wrong people. Fox News is legacy media. Yep. Fox News is the corporate press. Fox News, yes, there's some good voices on Fox News. There's a good voice or two on CNN. I don't think there's any on MSNBC. But, I mean, as a whole, it is...
MSNBC used to have people on. They used to have robust ideas and different... Tucker came from CNN, or at least he was a long time ago.
That's true.
Yeah, Glenn Beck ran his way through CNN. But they are a totally different network with Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, but the point is, and I don't know if Vivek was laying this out intentionally, but when he contrasts, the old media and calling up, the Chris Wallaces of the world to host a debate against, a Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and these types of people. It's the new media. It's the new American media, Brian.
New American media, because the old American media failed.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I cut off Vivek. He had another point.
Yeah, let's get back, and we're going to listen to like a minute or 30 seconds here, not the whole thing.
So good. It's all worth it. I'll shut up.
Do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate?
Yes.
They wouldn't do it.
Perfect.
And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment.
Let him
ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go. Mr.
I love the force of go. Go.
We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election.
Yep.
They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie. Why you?
Woo. Let him talk.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
All right, enough of that there.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. Anyway, yeah, that was incredible. Vivek was a superstar of that, and he quickly joined the MAGA team. I was at the Libertarian Convention with your buddy Brian McWilliams. What's up, Brian? Over there in Washington, D.C. Vivek Ramaswamy came out with Dave Smith and others and spoke and gave an impassioned plea and said, look, libertarians, I share a lot of your opinions, maybe not all of them, But I have the ear of President Trump. He's promised at least one libertarian will join his cabinet, maybe more. We can get involved with the campaign and help steer them toward libertarian ideals. Let's go. You can do something idealistic and say, well, my perfect option is right here with the Libertarian Party and the Libertarian votes. It's like you have zero chance with Chase Olivier getting something done because he will never see a seat of power. You must stop the Democrats. That is the number one thing. You will bleed out. You have to twist the tourniquet on the Democrats that are bleeding us dry. They want us out of their way. They want population replacement. They want us sterilized. I don't know what sort of weird shit is at the top of this pyramid that they're trying to push. I don't want anything to do with it. You have to stop the worst thing in the country that could have power with the closest thing that can stop it, which is Trump. And then if you want to go idealistic and try to drag some different ideals along, once you defeat the fire-breathing dragon, let's go. I'm running with him. I have his ear. He's talking crypto. He's talking limited government. He's talking cutting corruption and cutting expenses and getting rid of unnecessary government bloat and regulations. All the shit we're so sick of someone breathing down our necks. Someone giving you an insult saying you can't wear this hat or this shirt or you can't have this in your yard and you can't hold this opinion and you should be canceled. It's like, sit down, shut up. We're sick of all of you monsters bullying us. The Barack Obama strategy is to bully America, and America said, "You're fired, Barack."
To bully America through their already captured outlets, through the mainstream media, through academia, through corporate HR departments. And we're going to get to the change that I think really happened in a little bit here, but I want to keep teasing down the line. And I titled this show "The Golden Age" for a reason, and Donald Trump referenced that during his what do they call it? Acceptance speech, winning speech? I don't know. But it's something that Scott Adams, if anyone listens to Scott Adams,
great show,
Coffee with Scott Adams, he's been talking about it for years, that the golden age is coming. I think some things had to line up to get here, and I think we almost missed it. I mean, I think we almost had it taken from us, but luckily.
But a second part of this, which is so weird. We've heard trust the plan and blah, 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 all these other things. And it's like, no, I'm not going to let my own determination sit in the hands of someone else. I'm going to activate myself. I'm going to get to work. I'm going to do everything I can. But yeah, I mean, that was the choice that was given to us. This was the final stop. That we all recognized we had reached a level. We've been pushed right up to we have nowhere else to retreat to. They took it as far as they could. And man, they just overplayed their hand with their bully tactics. We cannot continue as a nation if we keep lying to people to manipulate and destroy them. It's a form of brain damage. They've really caused brain damage on the people that were susceptible to just tuning on the news and going, oh shit, Trump's a spy. He works for Russia? I don't like him anyway. He bragged about grabbing a lady's cooch or something on a show. I don't know. He's rude and kind of crass and a fake tan and he's full of shit. I don't like that guy. And then it turned into, no, he's actually a Nazi. And you go, I hate that guy. Then it turns into he's trying to steal your democracy, despite the fact that the Democrats have rigged all three conventions against the people that the people wanted to head their Democrat Party. And then they said, we need to take him out, throw him in a cage for the rest of his life. Actually, we need to take a shot at him. This is the mental abuse inflicted upon us by the people that need to face repercussions for all of the propaganda lies. They've perpetuated hoaxes on him. And we're sick of it. We've all seen the lie because, like Trump said, the best thing he says, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way. I don't know that anyone else could have done what Trump did. And like back to trusting the plan, the point I was trying to make here was that if Donald Trump won 2020, which he did, but if he was allowed to stay in office for 4 more years, I don't know that the same media would have exposed themselves, that the pharmaceutical industry wouldn't have exposed themselves, the food industry.
I agree. This worked out better. This worked out better
because
absolutely.
Now all the Scooby-Doo masks have come off at Halloween time. Ha ha ha. And I would have gotten away for it too if it weren't for you meddling MAGA assholes. You know? Talk about the skin suit that Joe Biden could pull off. He's just a robot. He's an Elon Musk robot. He's a Tesla bot. Ha ha. I got away with it too. I don't know.
You nailed it, man. I mean, this absolutely worked out better. And you referenced brain damage there a minute ago. And the next clip,
I've studied brain damage and what you can do with Stockholm syndrome and all of the MK Ultra shit, all the stuff the CIA has been implementing. You watch Game of Thrones, and it's like, oh, they're all about torture. It's like they're still doing shit. They're just, when Mark Zuckerberg rigs your algorithm to make sure you have rage flashing in front of you, raising your heart rate, getting you on the streets, burning your own community down, you are a lab rat to these monsters. Don't let Zuckerberg, occasionally making a nice statement about Trump now, get him off the hook. He is number one, right at the top of the Obama, Clinton, Zuckerberg, Fauci. There's about 20 to 50 people that absolutely need to be on the Mount Rushmore of shame, and they need to face criminal indictments for what they've done to damage the American people. I take it personally when Americans are fucked with. I really get, it's that shepherd mentality. You can't just walk past someone getting their ass kicked on the street. I don't need to know the details, but this isn't a fair fight. You're both not on your feet. The one person appears to be concussed and unconscious. You're not taking another fucking swing at him, and you run in to help when you can, because that could have been me. And I hope someone would do that to me. And that's what these assholes activated. That's what they turned to 11 on the American people, because it's been going on for 20 years. You could disagree with Bill Clinton's policies. What Obama brought in was a toxic cancer unlike anything we've seen. And the chickens have finally come home to roost.
They have, man. And the left doesn't understand that yet. And this next video is going to just demonstrate that. And when you're watching this, this is a clip of The View. The View this week since the election, it's been an open display of mental illness, of TDS, of brain damage on display. These are people who their brains have been assaulted by leftist propaganda. And because they're inside this echo chamber, yes, the left does own the media and academia and corporate America. But that doesn't mean that people who work in corporate jobs and people who, maybe go to colleges, that doesn't mean that they are buying what's being sold. Sure, the leaders are spewing this out that's being fed to them from the Obama machine or whoever is feeding this garbage to them. But the people who are, not in those positions of power and have access to, maybe look at some different ideas, maybe listen to a Joe Rogan show, maybe, because X is now uncensored, maybe check out some Elon Musk tweets, or there's so many different forms of media now. I'm going to break this down more in a minute, but I want you just to look at how crazy it is after what just happened with the election, how these people still don't get it on The View, still have no clue what's happening in this country, what's happening with communications in this country.
More relevant question actually is, what is wrong with America? I think what is wrong with our country that the Republican Party would choose as a candidate and support a candidate who is an insurrectionist, who is an election denier, who is someone who is twice impeached, 34-time convicted felon, someone who has been accused of alleged sexual misconduct by 26 women, found liable for sexual abuse. What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny, over a message of inclusiveness, a message for the people, by the people, of the people. That is what the problem is.
Here's where it gets good.
Republican Party.
And what's wrong with America?
I'm not here in a minute.
The Democrats are the ones. They are the party that cares for the blue collar voter.
Wrong.
The Democrats are the ones who put in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, union protection,
ACA,
unemployment insurance, and Obamacare. The Republican Party doesn't give a rat's patootie about
clearly
it.
they didn't convince the voters of
So
that.
all I can deduce is that it's the messaging. It didn't get through to people. They're not paying attention. That's all.
Yeah,
because the Democrats have always been for the working people.
Exactly. And the Republicans don't
I think the message of the Democrats sounded elitist. You don't have value in the society.
They
if you don't have a
sounded
college
that way,
degree.
but when you look at the
sound that way, they are that way.
It's condescending. It's condescending. There is a
condescending.
The way that the left speaks to its voters. It really is.
A message of joy and inclusiveness.
No, the message
The joy and inclusiveness.
Being dumb and what's wrong with America. Who said that?
Sunny just did.
What is wrong with America?
My point here is
that's not what Kamala Harris said.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
My point is, I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. Go back as far as you want. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't blame the Republican Party
Can I just finish my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In sweeping.
So they need to be introspective.
No, we need to be introspective.
Yes.
If we voted for Kamala Harris, we need to say what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform.
Yeah.
When they said we're worrying about can I just finish? Let me just finish real quickly. When they were focused on
It's only an hour show, ladies.
Joy, when they were focused on renaming schools, there were people saying, hey, students are destroying colleges. I paid for that. I sent them there. They can't learn. And everyone apologized for it and didn't want to attend to it. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a...
There was a border bill, though. There was a
border
border
bill. My point is they screamed. They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
But Sarah,
the majority of this country, because there's every stat coming out on the people willing to self-reflect are showing these.
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and a misogynist in the exit poll?
You really think 74 million people are racist?
Every racist and misogynist voted for Donald Trump. Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category, and the reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time.
Yeah.
Look,
they lost everything.
There's still half
country
the
that
country
allows
that
its
doesn't agree with
environment to be
him.
ravaged, its children to be shot, its wealth to be harmed.
All right, enough of that. So Joy and Sunny don't get it. They are so caught in this echo chamber that they literally, the thought that they are wrong can't even enter in. Because when the ideas that they speak are just reinforced as being correct by the yes people around them, so they can't get out of it. They're stuck in a cycle of mental illness.
Well, when she said it's only an hour show, am I right? It's only an hour show. Right? No, she's playing a part. She's an actress. No, I don't think that she's stuck in shit. She's one of the actresses.
Really?
I
think 100% that these people, their brains are stuck, man.
She's the puppet master of this. Jimmy Kimmel knows he's a puppet. He knows that he has to dance and cry those tears.
I don't think these people know they're puppets. I disagree with you there.
That's a question of the day then. Dude, what's her name? What was the lady on the left?
It's that Joy,
Behar.
Behar, yeah. Joy Behar and Sunny
Huston
or something like that. Yeah.
Leave her out of it. Joy Behar and the other person I referenced. Who was that? What was it? Joy Behar and Jimmy Kimmel. Do they know
Jimmy Kimmel.
Do they know? Geez, we playing a game of Stump a Stoner here, John? It took neither of us could remember what I just said. Anyway, that'd be a great question of the day, like an X poll. One of us should do that and tag the other.
Yeah.
And just see like do we think these people are puppets or are they brain damaged puppets? Are they still puppets either way? Do they think they're being lied to and regurgitating lies, or do they believe their own farts don't stink? Do they buy into all of the propaganda?
I think they do. I think they do buy into it. I think they do think they're doing the right thing. I think they do think that Donald Trump hates women and hates gay people and wants to murder Meghan McCain or not Meghan McCain, Liz Cheney. And all these different things. I think they believe it. I honestly do.
Some of them do. And we have to communicate with these people, and we have to by redirecting them back to we're entering a golden age for everybody. We're working to don't speak for me. Let me speak for me. The reason I'm excited is A, B, C, D, E. And these are all awesome things. This is where my energy's at. This is stuff that's actually happening. Real quick, you had B. Hindelbars saying it's time that these morons stopped. Americans are scared, some suicidal. It's on them. Yeah, it has to stop. But we have to stop punching ourselves in the face by watching tripe like this. You continue. So there are some intelligent Democrats. She should join the Republican Party. Yeah, all the cool kids have. All the cool kids. And we were talking about the demographic of people that's working on the propaganda. Look, I'm hearing that the high schools and the colleges, all the cool kids are MAGA. All the weirdos and losers, they're on the other side repeating lies, repeating deep state hoaxes, propaganda, divisive nonsense. And it's like the rest of the country's going, I'm just trying to live an awesome life and focus on some of the most important things that matter and fixing some very urgent flashing red and blue lights with some common sense solutions that will help us. And no, your common sense bipartisan border bill was not one of those things. I could live a lifetime without hearing that bullshit ever again in my life. So there has to be a way to talk to the other side. Caitlin is saying that they totally buy it. They totally
one vote for me. I'm winning.
All right, there you go. Leave your question of the day. Do people like Jimmy Kimmel? God, I mean, does this extend to Eminem and all the other people that?
I got another clip with some more people. Van Jones. Does Van Jones buy it, or is he a puppet? So let's take a look at some other people here.
A coin flip. I met him in 2016 at the Republican convention in Cleveland. Man, that guy's a coin flip. He's
at the He was at the Republican convention.
He was on the floor when we filmed Jimmy Dore spitting in Alex Jones' face on the set of Young Turks, and the brouhaha erupted. Yes, wow. He was right around the corner, and he was down talking with, what's that skinny girl's name? The Republican, the waif, the real.
You're gonna have to be more specific than that. What's that skinny girl's name? What?
Let's clip that out. That's a nice clip for the show. Ann Coulter. But yeah, they were down on the side. Yeah. I talked to him. I think we exchanged information. I didn't book him. I don't know if he.
I think. See, Van Jones is an intelligent guy, man. Sometimes you can tell he's intelligent. I mean, he's very, very smart.
He's savvy. He's definitely savvy.
He could be smart enough that he does understand that he's just manipulating people.
And that's what I think most of these master entertainers like Jimmy Kimmel. What's that girl's name? Bette Midler. Who's that? Joy Behar on the left.
I think Jimmy Kimmel's an idiot, though. I don't think he's very smart.
No, they can be idiots, but they're master actors. These are performers.
See, and now you're getting to the point of are they just pure evil? Where I mean, because if they are doing that, the level of evil that you are is just next level. I mean,
are they on the level of what Diddy is doing? On the
it would be as bad, or I don't know how to categorize levels of evil, but it would be as bad. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think they're all in on it. In the Nuremberg trials after World War II, it said, you know why? By the way, you know why some of the Rachel Maddows and some of the other goofballs on the left were starting to say, "Oh, Trump, did you hear what he said last night? He was at a speech in North Carolina and he said something about maybe coming after journalists who didn't like him. You can't vote for a guy like that. He's clearly unhinged." They are all in on it. Nuremberg trial said that you cannot put your hands up saying, I was just doing my job. I'm not guilty of anything. The propagandists are traitors. That is why they were so panicked enough they took multiple attempts to eliminate him. And by the way, I think we need to be
I don't know. I think we need to draw. So you can draw some lines, or at least I can. You can tell me if you agree or not, because you are the host of Agree to Disagree.
Hey.
This is finding freedom, though. So here we're trying to find the freedom in what we're talking about. But so yeah, you at least I can think that maybe the assassination attempt that happened to Donald Trump.
Which one? How many?
We'll just stick with the first one. Let's stick with the first one. Okay. I can think that the deep state was involved in that in some capacity to allow it to happen, to get this guy in a position where it happened in some way. I think the deep state was somehow involved, and at the same time, I can think that a Van Jones or Joy Behar, like, they have no knowledge of that. They're not involved in the planning. I don't think you're saying that, or maybe you are. I don't know.
Rephrase exactly what you're asking me. If I'm saying. Let me make sure.
I'm just asking, like, when you talk about the assassination attempt against Donald Trump,
yes,
and if we're referring to the deep state being involved,
yes,
are we also implicating that people like Van Jones and Joy Behar and whoever else on these corporate news networks that is saying that it wasn't the deep state, or going along with the official narrative, or what level of involvement, I guess, do you think they have? Is a better way to phrase it.
Yeah, I think there's some high level decisions and cover-ups that escalate into the ultimate penalty phase of treason. 100%. The people at the top that really made the decisions. I'm talking about when Kim Cheadle comes out after not going to the site of the attempted assassination, after not calling and checking in any reasonable amount of time, after not seeming to really give a shit, what, a week and a half later, testifying in front of Congress? If you want to know how involved those people are, now that's different from the celebrities, and I'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
The Cheetles, when they go, we couldn't have a counter sniper up there because the roof was slanted. John.
It was a slopey roof,
John.
It's insane. It's insane.
Your number one job as a sniper is to have some sort of harness and pulley device if there's any sort of sloped roof. Like, your job is roofs as a sniper. There's no roof that's too slopey. For her to come out and actually say that, you go, oh my God, from her top level, her boss was in on it. She's in on it. How many? You can at least pinpoint she is a puppet that was in on it.
But you know what? I don't know. I mean, I want you to come back to this. I want to keep pulling at this thread. But I worked in corporate America for 16 years. I've seen how stupid decisions can get made and be justified for the dumbest reasons. Looking at the risks associated with it, or what would the costs be, or if we do this, then it wouldn't meet the schedule in order to have the rally on time, and the logistics of it. There's so many people. The problem is there's so many people involved, and it gets so bureaucratic that they aren't able to function. And I think there's an element of that occurred.
Yeah. I mean, after 9/11, the first thing I was like, well, why aren't these agencies talking to each other?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, they're not talking to each other. Flash forward to Butler. Like, hold on. They weren't talking to each other on their walkie-talkies? The guy couldn't go fire, fire, fire.
Yeah.
All you got to do is 3 fire, fire, fire. Everyone drops. You take it. For 5 minutes, they're pointing. They're yelling. I'm sorry. You're telling me you're walking around with one of these things, and you can't go fire, fire, fire. Trump's down. They get that guy is smithereens.
Yeah.
I don't believe that sheer incompetence played a role in this. I know that sheer incompetence does play a role in everything always. And I was saying, is that like the Dilbert effect? I mean, Scott Adams, you referenced his show earlier. I love the thinking and the processing and the insight from those shows. But yeah, about how corporate America, the more bureaucracy. I shared an awesome video where they go, you got to protect our democracy. You got to protect, he's trying to destroy our democracy. And all they did was they changed the word democracy to, he's coming after our bureaucracy. We have to protect our bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
He's sabotaging bureaucracy. And it was like a 2-minute clip. And you're going, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. They've found a way to control their system, and they don't want anybody getting in the way. Why did Virginia vote against Trump? Because they're all the DC lackeys. They're like, oh shit, Elon's going to come in and fire 85% of everybody because we're all just walking around making life worse on people at a time when we're beyond bankrupt, we're beyond insolvent. We're probably not insolvent because we have plenty of resources. We're just not using them. That's what Trump talks about. I agree with Trump on that. But I think agreeing with Trump on something like that also is redirecting it back to the golden age and saying Trump's going to open up different areas of this country. There could be new communities built. There's going to be new infrastructure, like new ideas. I couldn't be more excited. But yeah, I just to wrap up Butler. Yeah, there was obviously bureaucracy getting in the way, and they weren't even on the same communication devices. But also, I think they knew early on Trump was absolutely unstoppable. They knew Kamala was beyond a joke. They made a huge mistake, and they painted themselves into the corner. The only way out was to maybe make sure that certain areas were lax, certain areas were not covered, that certain people were siloed or tricked into thinking that they had something in place that they didn't. I think there was definitely coordination there. I don't think that was all just everything lined up perfectly for the worst potential accident ever. But, who knows?
Either way, we're going to find out now, hopefully. That's the very cool thing from
Bobby
Trump
Kennedy's going to start looking at why his dad and his uncle were off. And they're going to look at who was digging, who took the shot at Trump. Bobby's going to run roughshod in there. I'm so excited. Do you think Trump could have won without Bobby?
No. I yes and no.
Because he would have taken away from the Dems too.
There's so many different things that added up between, Bobby endorsing Tulsi Gabbard, Elon,
Dana
coming
White.
in and everything he did in Pennsylvania and throughout the country. Joe Rogan, Ron Paul at the last minute. It was like it's hard to say, like without one or two of these, what would have happened.
Right.
It just all came together in a beautiful way because we're coming into the golden age. And I do want to play this clip because I just want to get past it because I do want to have some time to talk about the golden age here at the end of the show. But let's play Van Jones and let's look at some more mental illness before we get on to talking about how great things are going to be.
In a normal country, we would say, hold on a second, maybe we need to have a different set of regulations for social media platforms now they're this big.
It would help if we could regulate social media because one of the biggest offenders is DC and Congress have not been able to do one thing in regard to the rogue corporations of social media.
And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way slowly to a full-blown fascist politic. We don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
I love it. And this brings me to really what I've been leading up to this whole show is the moment that occurred, which I think has been, it's a transformation. And I had a tweet earlier today. It just came to me. It came to me in a dream, not quite a dream, but I did pray, and then this tweet just kind of came to you. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'll link to it on the show notes page. Essentially, what I talk about in this is the problem that the Democrats have, and you can believe that. I think you could either believe that a lot of these Democrats, are not being nefarious actors and are believing the shit they're being fed, or you could believe a lot of them are involved. But either way, they have the same problem. The problem that they have is they took over academia, they took over corporations, they took over media, they took over Hollywood. And, if you asked me a year ago, I would say that's why we're screwed. I should say 2 years ago. I would say that's why we're screwed. Coming out of COVID, they were cracking down on our communications on Twitter. We were being censored. YouTube, Google is still censoring. Facebook is censoring a little bit less now. The tipping point that
Facebook, Instagram, they're censoring plenty. Yeah. They hate the new American
tipping point that fixed this problem and opened this gateway up was Elon buying Twitter and releasing the censorship there, letting the free discourse occur. Everyone who was blocked during COVID, the Robert Malones, the Peter McCulloughs, they were able to speak freely. And you've had this discourse just open up. And coming into the election, this opened everything up for Trump from that digital angle, from the podcast angle, going on this podcast, the flood of clips that came from it. When you have Donald Trump go on Joe Rogan and, what was it, 30 million people or something listen to it and watch it, and you have Kamala Harris go on Call Her Daddy, that blowjob podcast hosted by I forget her name, and it was like 100,000 people watched and listened to it. It's not even close. The left can't compete when the ideas are just out there, when the ideas are available. So what Elon Musk did by opening up Twitter, he pierced that bubble that had been created around corporate America and academia and the media and Hollywood. And sure, the people at the top are still believing the bullshit because when they go in their boardroom meetings and they say, oh yeah, Donald Trump won because he's a misogynist and he hates gay people and he wants to murder Liz Cheney, everyone nods, says, yeah, that's exactly right. But their listeners, they're now seeing things on videos on Twitter pop up, and they're getting competing ideas. So the whole world, the whole landscape has changed. And my hope is the left isn't going to understand this. And even if they do, they don't have the ideas to win. They can't compete. What do you think about that?
I agree. Dude, the left, they used to say the Republicans are the party of no ideas and the Democrats are the party of bad ideas. And that made a lot of sense for a lot of time. But that's totally changed. Donald Trump has completely transformed the MAGA movement, taken over the Republican Party. Vivek, Elon Musk Ron Paul, Thomas the people that are actually Thomas Massey, I guess it's not confirmed that there's just a big lobbying attempt to really get him in. An interview with Nicole Shanahan. Hey, what do you think? He goes, oh, as head of the was it agriculture department? He's like,
Secretary of Agriculture. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I would love to. But I think I saw a response saying he was asked. He hasn't been asked, but he'd love to have the conversation. He's very interested or something along those lines. The Republicans are now the party of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it. The Democrats are still the party of bad ideas. But now the Republicans, maybe boxed into a corner, there's no way out. You have to design a better mousetrap in order to break through the nonsense. The social media landscape, I think Section 230, two things.
Yeah.
Three things. Number one, agenda item, fix the elections. All 50 states need counting deadlines, accountability, video cameras, oversight, Republican poll watch. Like this has to change. Number two, you need to revoke or you need to reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act. Obama undid that, which unleashed the full weight of United States federal government propaganda on we the people, the Smith-Mundt Act, M-U-N-D-T. That has to be completely reversed along with Section 230. Section 230, where these sites can try to hit you. The reason why nobody can follow the New American, it's very hard to follow, find, interact with. We can't go live with our audience on Meta or on Facebook. They say, oh, an independent fact checker looked at what you said, and we're going to limit your reach. Who the fuck are they to say who I can and can't talk to? Who gives them the right to determine what is fact and what is false, especially when I click it and this thing is linked to some bullshit article paid from some non-paid by Soros funding some non-governmental organization, which circles back to the Democrat Party that aims their arrows at the people on the other side who are opposing a strategy or a policy that's going to give them more money so Soros can make more money to fund more NGOs, to attack more conservatives and libertarians. Who gives them the right to do this? Section 230 has got to strip YouTube, Meta, all these censoring companies of any advantage, and they actually need to be facing civil rights violating charges, indictments from the federal government for fucking with us. Either you're a private platform and you do not moderate content, or you're a public platform and you do. You do not get to play both sides of the fence there.
Yeah, they can't take government contracts. Like that's as soon as you merge and you become entangled with the government. I mean, that's Meta. That's
the definition of the word fascism. The blending of corporate and governmental forces. That is your fascism. You can say, oh, a guy has a mustache. That guy has orange spray tan on. He must be a fascist. I didn't quite follow your leap of logic there, but fine. When they're actually acting as the real fascist, the fact that the hippies from the late 60s, early 70s, that party turned into this, you got to be
crazy.
Kidding me, John. So, yeah, I think those are the three most important things. And then number 4, seal the border, of course. But you have to repeal Smith-Mundt, Section 230, and you really have to get nationwide accountability when it comes to counting votes. And, who knows how long it'll take they'll be the post office, the United States Postal Service Union, who endorsed Kamala Harris and the Democrats, they're still delivering ballots. I think we're going to need a few more weeks to determine if our people that we put in place and the unions have paid off and the cartels have paid off. We just need a few more weeks to find some more of these ballots that were created by giving out state identification cards to people who are non-citizens. And then we're not allowed to look at if they have an ID or not. So I don't know. They delivered it. It was sent to a person that's supposedly at that address that doesn't exist, or that address that has 1,100 people living at it. It's just there's too much bullshit going on in these. I actually had one disturbing thought.
Oh, no.
And it was Trump ran a near perfect campaign. And Kamala is arguably the worst presidential candidate America has ever had to suffer through. And
Trump could have.
It was still kind of close. It wasn't.
Trump could have run. The thing with Trump is he's not a great debater. Like when you watch that Kamala Trump debate, there were so many times, just like so frustrating things. I've talked about this a lot.
He missed a lot of slam dunks.
When they bring up like the Fine People hoax, and he's like, "Oh, Sean Hannity debunked that." It's like, why don't you just say, "Watch the tape, take it back 30 seconds. I literally said I condemn the white supremacists." Like that's all you guys say, and he like can't do it. He can't say it. I don't understand.
Or he could say Snopes. You know, you don't want to cite Hannity there, but
exactly. But
it's not a perfect. But nobody is perfect,
right?
But I'm just saying
it's tough. It's tough to do. I mean, it's not easy.
He's been framed for 8 years, and we all know it. We're sick of the shit. The economy's being run into the ground. The border's wide open. The people in the Bronx. Oh, can you believe Trump is having a Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden? He had a guy say a joke about Puerto Ricans are trash. It's like, no, Puerto Rico has a trash disposal problem, and he just highlighted it. Same way they're eating our cats and dogs, doubling that Springfield population with Haitians. Nobody in Springfield.
And I don't know if you know this, but Tony Hinchcliffe, he's a big environmental advocate. And that's exactly what he was doing. Is he got very interested in the ocean garbage patch or whatever, and then he got very interested in Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans, for whatever reason, produce like more trash than a regular American, and they have nowhere to put it because they're on an island.
Yeah, and there's two parts to the cats and dogs in Springfield thing. It's like there were reports through the city channels from people in Springfield that this Haitian group that moved in, they are taking cats, they're taking dogs, they're taking ducks, they're taking geese. There were reports from various phone calls, various people on various video. Things had occurred, and nobody in Springfield voted to double their population with Haitians overnight. Oh, well, no, they're legal immigrants. Legal according to what?
Misusing an app. That's so they're bringing the Haitians into the country through an app that was not intended to be used that way, where they could do so without any proof of identification.
Yeah, they were being transported as cargo. That was a cargo app. And it's like, oh no, it was legal. Legal to who? Ask anybody who lived in Springfield before the day you doubled their population with Haitians. They're close to Columbus. If you bring 30,000 Michigan Wolverine fans there, there's going to be a problem in that community. Their customs are a little different.
Who would they rather have, Haitians or Michigan fans? Probably
That's our
Haitians.
Question of the
Probably
day.
Haitians.
Oh man, that's a coin flip. But look, they're driving around. They don't have driver's licenses. They run into a school bus and kill a kid. They're using up the city resources. When I went to the Bronx, we're talking about Tony Hinchcliffe, and he insulted Haitians he insulted.
Let me say one thing because I just want to make one thing clear. I don't have a problem. I just want to say one thing before we move past it because it's very important, and I think you'll agree with me.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with Haitians that come to this country legally. I have friends that came here from Haiti. I have no problem with that. It's when they're coming in and they're bypassing the legal process with this pseudo cargo app, and they're able to get in that way. So I don't have a problem with like Haitian people. I understand that they want to come here.
But how big of a no-go zone is something that you want? How big of a you look at Ilhan Omar, you look at the sections of Minnesota that are being conquered block by block. You look at the UK enclaves, they're no-go zones for police. They're operating under a totally it's some assimilation, some migration from people who have been thoroughly vetted and bring what we're looking for, and they're in
exactly thoroughly vetted. Yep,
thoroughly vetted. The best of the best, no criminal record. You filter all the poison out as much as you can in the beginning, and then you start from there. The fact that they bypass that is one thing, but back to Puerto Rico and Tony Hinchcliffe, what I was saying was I went to the Bronx when I got a chance to get on with Jack Posobiec and Real America's Voice, and I was
nice
down there. Our stuff was used with Bannon a couple days before they arrested and threw him in the cage, in the clink, in the slammer. And I talked to the people in the Bronx. I believe somewhere around 86% of Bronx residents. By the way, they said, I've been alive for 53 years. I've never seen a president give a shit about us. Nobody gives a shit about the people in the Bronx. They said the demographic was roughly, if my math works out, if I can recall it correctly, I think 86% Puerto Rican and black. 86%. We're close to 9 out of 10 people are black or Puerto Rican right there. As I'm interviewing these people from diverse neighborhoods, everyone at the Trump rally, they are furious that non-Americans are given magic debit cards that never run out of money. They're staying at fancy 4-star hotels through our tax dollars. I went to North Carolina to tour the hurricane damage. We did a documentary. Check out our YouTube. It's called Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way.
Wow.
Great job editing.
I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, check it out. It's on Rumble and YouTube on the New American Media. But when we were in the Bronx, these people couldn't stand. They said the crime in this, people are scared. People are getting hit with pipes. People are getting assaulted in the park. They're getting raped. It's the migrant population that's been dumped here. They don't speak the language. They don't know the customs. I mean, Trump, we thought he was kind of being, a little unfair by saying they're not sending their best. They're sending the rapists. They're sending the killers and the murderer. They're sending the worst. They're emptying their insane asylums. They actually are bringing bad people to terrorize their local community, and the Dominican part, the Dominican constituency of the Bronx, they can't stand the Democrats and what they stand for. It's not just Springfield, Ohio, but by Trump bringing attention to the Bronx, you get to hear these stories. By Trump saying they're eating the cats.
Did you know that in the Dominican Republic, this is within the past 2 years, they've expelled all the Haitians from the Dominican Republic back into Haiti? So
why was that? Why was that?
Well, because that was causing a lot of problems.
I swear I've heard the same thing about the Middle East, why a certain country has certain barriers and you can't really go through the southern side of, there's other countries involved there, and they don't want that population that won't stop trying to start a global war from coming into their country. Wow. But we've imported 30 million of them. So look, I'm excited for where we're headed, but man, we got like Trump in the garbage truck. We got a lot to clean up. A lot.
There's a lot to clean up, man, but I want to end on a high note here, on a golden note. So, I know you're a guy that, at least you used to be into gardening. I think you still are.
I am.
I know you're not really into all these wars that these previous administrations have been doing. I know that you probably like not paying high taxes, want some lower taxes. So just like looking at this Trump administration, looking at the opening of the golden age, like what are you most excited about? You most excited about RFK and what he's going to do? Are you excited about Tulsi's influence, maybe in foreign policy? Excited about Elon Musk's influence in entrepreneurship? But what are you looking at?
First, I'll reference B. Hindelbars saying that Elon Musk saved democracy. Look, there's a list. Scott Pressler.
Yeah, for sure.
Scott Pressler, who I interviewed in Milwaukee at the GOP convention, and Gerald A. Morgan from the CEO of the Louder with Crowder as well. And Jim Hoft, who runs the Gateway Pundit. A lot of good conversations there. But yeah, there's 100 heroes. There's 1,000 heroes. The internet warriors are the ones that saved this. And yeah, some of the best stepped up, but they're nothing without the people that are listening to them, watching them, checking them out, and considering. I mean, look, you can't listen to Donald Trump talk for 3 hours without going, holy shit, the dude is the Energizer bunny. He will never tire. Holy shit, he knows a little bit of something about everything. We're talking MMA, we're talking golf, we're talking Hollywood, we're talking the ratings with television.
Presidential history. He was talking about Abraham Lincoln's son when he was on the Rogan podcast. I had no idea about that.
I watched an interview with Bobby Kennedy today, and he's talking about, so I'm having lunch with President Trump, and he pulls out a napkin, and he said, sorry, I can't do that for too long, but wow, that was hard. I don't know that I've ever done that.
I was worried about you for a minute there.
Helen Keller-ish. Hello, Helen Keller-ish. Anyway, but he says, so he pulls out a napkin. They're having dinner or something. I forget the seating. Maybe it was Air Force One or behind the scenes or something. Trump pulls out a napkin and they're talking. And so he's trying to explain what's going on in the Middle East. He's talking to Bobby about this and that. So he proceeds to freehand. He grabs a pen and he starts drawing. Bobby goes, oh, President. No, I can't do it. But he says, so President Trump draws an accurate map of the Middle East. And he starts saying, well, right here on the border of Turkey, we have 350,000 troops. Over here in Syria, we have 75,000. Over here, there's 500. Here's what's going on. They're coming here. They're going over there, and our troops are stuck in a no man's zone in between. And so I say to President, so what does that mean? He goes, so I called up and I said, get him the hell out of there. So I said, sir. Yeah. So he says, get him the hell out of there. He goes, but Donald Trump, he's not just pretending to know this stuff.
You know what it is? I just realized something.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just realized something with that, with him drawing the map. The guy, because the more I learn about real estate and the more I work with people who are involved in real estate, when you're putting deals together, there are so many moving pieces, and it's a different type of brain to be able to do that, and it's applicable everywhere. Because, you're talking about a complicated situation like the Middle East. It's a deal. You got to understand every component. You got to understand what are the pain points? What do people need? What would make this population happy? What would make this population happy? Maybe they got to sacrifice this, but they will because they won't have bombs. It makes sense. It makes freaking sense.
It's called the art of the deal, and that's what Trump's all about. And you looked at the Houthis. There's reports that they're done attacking people. Hamas, Hezbollah, they're trying to get out of this. Ukraine is trying to get out of this, so they're trying to send them $6 billion more to steal of our dollars. Mm-hmm. I'll get to that's a whole other thing. But yeah, B Handlebars continues here in the comments. Without X, they would have censored.
I love how you're hitting all the comments. You go with it. I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: if you feed the fish will come back.
Yeah.
If we don't engage the comments, they're not going to want to feel like they're an actual part of the show. That's why on the Agree to Disagree show, I try to do that all the time as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And you become a regular at my bar. If I can remember, hey, that's Johnny over there. Johnny, you doing a Jack and Ginger beer? I knew it. Double this time. Oh, that's right. Tuesdays you do singles because you got soccer practice. All right, yeah, I got you. I'll get you one. But yeah, so if you feed the fish, they'll come back. But yeah, B also says, I hope President Trump and his team help us get rid of our socialist government in the UK. Let me tell you about the Trump sign that I put in my yard. I was taking a bag out to the community trash in a facility a week ago, slid the thing open, chucked the bag in. And as I launched the bag, I go, to what do my wondering eyes do appear? It was a Trump sign, all alone, just sitting here, inside of the garbage can, shuttered from light. Anyway, I could keep going.
Was that off the top of the head there? That you just?
Yeah, I wanted to keep going, and maybe
it's quite a weave there.
We call it a wide weave. It takes quite a brain, a blueprint.
Sometimes poetry gets in there. I don't know.
They said, "Sir, you're weaving." I said, "It's genius." Just, Anyway, I saw a Trump sign. And I go, wow, what a strange thing to accidentally end up here, isn't it? The tolerant left strikes again. Because, John, there's not a single human being on earth that was for President Trump a month ago when they got a sign.
Right.
And you know what? I didn't like that comment from that comic at Madison Square Garden because a guy did something in the 30s there. Not a single human did that.
Yeah.
This was a unhinged leftist that couldn't stand someone's opinion that wasn't theirs and pitched it in the trash. I said,
100%.
I'm going to take you home. It was right on top. It wasn't covered in filth or anything. Like, I wouldn't have dug you know what? Hold on. Would I have dug through baby diapers to get a Trump sign? Because I did say I would bear crawl through glass because he's the best chance we have of stopping so much of this insanity. I really can't take it. I just want to get back to a normal civilian life, sort of. But you can't when the people at the top are so far off base, taking us, Thelma and Louise, into a cliff. But anyway, I took the Trump sign. I put it in my front yard. I did it so that I could try to maybe encourage some neighbors to grow a set. I actually got another sign from my dad, and I asked a neighbor who I'd recently started hanging out with and recently learned he's MAGA as well. You keep that stuff quiet. You don't want to rustle up the neighbors, right? But I said, do you want a Trump sign? He goes, I go, all right. I'll put 2 in my yard. And I did, because maybe it could help somebody else by seeing it in you, seeing the confidence that you have to stand up and speak your mind. Maybe that'll encourage somebody else. And that was like the beginning of the show where you were like, I don't know, you were making your case a little bit. And it was at least during our chat that you made a solid decision that was maybe not what you were thinking a week before. And it's like, sometimes we don't know what our impact is. Sometimes we don't know if anything we do matters. And that's a really myopic, dystopian way to really end up on some sort of loop, a very damaging loop in your head. But I just put my head down. It's like I told John McAfee before he passed. Obviously, every conversation with John was a conversation with him before he passed, to parody and paraphrase Mitch Hedberg, rather. But I told Mr. McAfee, I said, I don't know if there's a God or not, but if there is, I'm going to do everything I can while I'm here, because I'm seeing a lot of flashing lights that are really dangerous for humanity. If there's a God and I get to meet that God, I want to be able to look my maker in the eye and say, I tried. So back to what B was saying here. I hope Trump and his team help get rid of socialist government in the UK. Oh my God. Do you realize what the rest of the world just saw? They just saw double-barreled middle fingers.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt. It'll help for sure.
Nonsense. It's about to happen globally, folks. Trump gives you permission to speak freely. Permission granted. That's what you say.
It's a Trump sign in America right now.
Yes.
Is essentially what happened. And B also says, love the comments. Keep them coming. I'm British. Love listening to you guys. Let me say, we love listening to you too. Love the accent.
We do. What a neat accent. I did meet Pierce Morgan. I was working a party and I met Pierce and I told him, and you're not supposed to talk to the celebrities, especially in Hollywood. Like I pick and choose. I took an extra moment with Kelsey Grammer. I took an extra moment with Pierce Morgan. I said, I completely disagree with you on your stance on the Second Amendment, but I appreciate the fact that you're bringing it up every night on your show. He goes, I don't even know if I do a good British accent, but he's like, I appreciate that. I think we all should have a chance to express it, and it's more open conversations. We'll kind of get a better understanding. He goes, he extended his hand to me. I extended my hand across the bar back.
Mm-hmm.
I shook his hand. We had a good chat. Now, I was calling for him to be deported since he was violating our Second Amendment God-given rights, being like an enemy infiltrator. I was saying that on the Agree to Disagree show because it's like, don't come in here and undermine a basic set of standards that work for everybody. Don't come in here and bring that toxicity. Keep that. You want to do that? You might as well just go back to jolly old England, where Trump and her team, where they've got a socialist government. They're begging for Trump to save them. And Nigel Farage, keep your eyes peeled. He's about to take over. Trudeau's about to get kicked out of Canada. I think things globally are about to happen. And I think this is the potential golden age. We got to be very careful, protective, prayer, and really doubled security, tripled security between now and Trump's elections, acceptance. What the hell are we calling it? Inauguration.
And we got to watch the snakes, the neocons trying to snake their way back into the Trump administration. The Mike Pompeos of the world, the Tom Cottons, the Marco Rubios. These people cannot be given.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham's obviously, you want to keep him out.
Who were some of the others? Some of the, but we get it. But he's surrounded by his transition team is privately funded now. Like he's not letting the deep state into his transition team. He's like, I told Bobby, we got that beautiful gold. They call it, they said, sir, you have, they call it black gold. They said, old Jed, move out to become a millionaire. We're going to drill, baby, drill. So I said, Bobby, don't touch energy, but run wild on the health stuff. Make America healthy again. And that's great. I think Trump will be best served in this term by taking 4 steps backward and do the Obama with the earpiece in the basement. Let his team go push the agenda. Less Trump is going to be better, and let the superstars. What am I excited about was the question, and I know that was. Sir, he said that's the widest weave of this entire Odermatt podcast. You went here, then there, everywhere. You were like Sonny Bono on skis. I said that's too soon. But I'm excited. I'm excited with Tulsi to be involved and just completely overhauling the entire military. I don't mind having bases if we're working with people. I know it's infrastructure. We don't want to be Team America World Police. I agree, Ron Paul, all that stuff. But whatever we did in Afghanistan, that's the exact opposite thing. So I'm super excited that we can almost instantly on day one ratchet down whatever the hell they've been doing in this proxy war in Ukraine. Ratchet down whatever's been going on in the Middle East. You get on that side of the sandbox. You get on that side of the sandbox. You shut the hell up. Dad just came home and I am pissed. Do not make me repeat myself. Not another rocket flies or else. So I said, here's a picture of your house. And he goes, okay, sir. I think I can keep a peace agreement. I think I can. It's called diplomacy. So I think Trump is going to instantly stabilize things on that level. I think we got to be careful, on the other hand, about pulling the rug out from the economy. I think we've heard enough rumblings that they're probably going to try to pull some Depression era bullshit. Maybe, maybe not. We thought there could be an EMP burst. There was going to be a communication disruption. What type of trick could the deep state do that's going to rival COVID to completely overthrow this election is what we thought. And it's like, look, part of what I kept saying the whole time on Agree to Disagree is maybe what we're projecting is an ass kicking and a smooth transition into Trump's second term. And look, it feels that way for now, but it's time to be hyper vigilant, keep the snakes at bay. But yeah, I'm super excited for Bobby to get going. Why have we allowed ourselves to get poisoned? You couldn't pay me enough to poison my neighbor. Who the fuck is signing off on poisoning their neighbor? And those people who knew the side effects, the damages, the potentialities, the true survey results, the true double-blind tests, and they lied about it to push it to make a few bucks and cause countless deaths and just ruined lives, ruined families. Those people are no different than Clinton, Obama, Biden, the people at the top, the deep state ones.
100%.
Reason to frame Trump and stage a coup to remove him from office in 2020. There are people at these top levels, and they're dangerous. They're cornered. They know that we know all of this. We've been screaming it for years, and it finally took Trump to put a decent team together. So, yeah, he's got some big decisions to make. I hope Massey joins. I love Massey. He probably has the best voting record in Congress, close to it at least. His team is just 400% better, 4,000% better. You know, it's John, I can't even find top 10 things. But if you reduce the amount of expenditures from federal government and we stop wasting all this money on who's coming after our democracy, he's coming after our bureaucracy. I think there needs to be we need to make a concession, and there needs to be a really coordinated effort here. If you're going to fire 90% of Virginia, you should really start opening up some facilities and training people for new jobs and give them maybe a crossover pension or stipend to kind of redirect you into a career that's going to make sense in industries that we need talented people in. And, you know, someone like Elon Musk understands how to do that. So
there's only, I don't know, with that, there's only so much you can do. And Elon Musk even said there's going to be some temporary pain for people. And, you know, that these people have led a very, very privileged life, a cushy job in, you know, Northern Virginia or Washington, D.C. Probably 90% of them really don't actually do any work. So hopefully you've saved your money. You have a nice big house. You might have to sell your house in order to survive. That's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I'm not really worried about that. So people will figure it out. It's not like these people are going to go from working for the government to starving the next day. There's programs, you know, there's unemployment. There's things people can get on. There's ways people can get by. So, you know, if he fires thousands of people, they'll figure it out. I'm not going to lose sleep over that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So I'm excited about so much of it. I'm curious to see what happens. We saw Kamala as border czar. They ran their border czar at a time that we've been invaded. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. I'm curious what JD Vance is going to take up. I feel like he's too capable to sit there as like a neocon war hawk, like Cheney or.
He's not a Mike Pence. He's they need him. They need him in action. He needs to be in action for sure.
And you know what? Maybe he'll be the ambassador going to the foreign nations. I don't know, but on the flip side, I've got some people that have serious concerns about JD Vance. Like,
really,
he speaks. I do. Connected people and say, you know, he's military. He speaks a good game. He was very anti-Trump in the beginning. He said he believed a lot of the lies in the propaganda media. I'm like, brother, if your bullshit meter is that far off for that long, I don't know if I can trust your judgment now, but okay, I'm willing to give some of that. But there are people concerned, especially after they've taken shots at Trump in the first place. Mm-hmm. Be careful with who number two is and who he's connecting with and how accessible he is to, you know, Lyndon Johnson to JFK, you know. So anyway, that part aside, I want to see if Vivek takes the JD spot. I don't know if that's how it's going to play out. I think DeWine gets to settle that. Did you guys figure out your Senate position in Pennsylvania? Is that settled now or no?
McCormick claimed victory, and it looks like he's going to win. There will probably be a recount. Fetterman's coming out, and the AP said that McCormick won, called it for McCormick. So at the end of the day, McCormick is going to win. Bob Casey's going to lose. It's a seismic shift in Pennsylvania politics for Bob Casey to lose. The Casey family has been in Pennsylvania politics forever. Bob Casey's dad was governor.
Democrat Sherrod Brown in Ohio just got upset by Bernie Moreno, the Trump guy. Yeah. Sherrod Brown has been around for 35 years or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are, look, and we cannot underestimate the importance of coming in with the Senate have we determined the House yet? They're saying it's likely, maybe likely, light likely. They still can't count their votes. I'm like, oh God, every hour that passes, I trust the results less. We'll see how it goes. But I mean, for Trump to come in with a Congress that's not going to actively try to sabotage him, I mean, he didn't really have that before. The Sherrod Browns have been washed out. The Liz Cheneys have been washed out. The Mitt Romneys have been washed out. Look at all the MAGA voices that have been Trump-endorsed people. He's going to have the right workers around him this time. Democrats, careful what you wish for. If you're going to rig it against Carrie Lake, careful. She's going to be available to join Trump's team. Careful what you wish for. Imagine her as press secretary.
She would be an excellent press secretary. Maybe outside of like Alex Jones. That's maybe like my number one option.
I want Milo. I would like to have guest speaking.
Guest press secretaries. A new one every week. We could have a new one every week.
We'd make it a reality show. And Trump would say this. So I called Milo and Alex Jones. And I said, here's a list of things. If you're going to take, I said, if you're going to take this job, do not do these things. And I want these. Don't do. Do not do. And they said they will. If they don't, they betrayed you, not me. But I think if he did, like, that'd be awesome. Here, Milo chopping it up for a week here. Carrie Lake and Alex Jones. Geez, imagine the people that could go in and out of there. And I'm just serving my country. The president called and said, would you like to be press secretary for a week? He said, I appreciate your communication skills. Vivek would kick things off, of course. I mean, how fun and novel. You turn it into a reality show. Every week you tune in. Who's come? Special guest, communications director next week. Tune in on Monday, 9 a.m. They call it
I love it.
Oval Office. They call it the Rose Room, the press room. Who knows? But they'll be somewhere. It'll be great. The ratings will be through the roof. But yeah. I'm super excited about all of this. B is saying in the comments that re-education camps are needed in Virginia. Help them recover from Trump derangement syndrome.
That one.
It really is. It is a as bad as our food and medicine has been poisoning us for the past 40 years. Inflammation, all sorts of problems. The media has been poisoning us for just as long. And
exactly.
I don't know which one is more lethal, because there's nothing more sad than seeing a friend that you know, a neighbor, a coworker, that they're funny. They're talented. You like his wife or the husband. You like the family. You enjoy spending time with them until they start talking about things that aren't true, until they start regurgitating the poison that they consume. They're like, excuse me, jolly good sir, I would like to vomit upon you. Blah! Okay, there's my British. That was my
jolly good.
Yeah, jolly good time. That was my Pierce Morgan. But it's like, excuse me while I vomit this nonsense all over you. These people have been poisoned too, and I do have empathy, but they need. I don't. John, you said it on the Agree to Disagree show with me yesterday, and said we need to have compassion dealing with these TDS sufferers. What is the way? I think it's too. I'm excited with the golden age. Like, I'm excited for these 5 reasons, and it's going to help the whole country. But it's not really addressing the root cause, which is what they're consuming from the idiots who are just feeding them poison, and they might not see it fully.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I don't think there's a lot that like we can do. A lot of it is inside their head. They have been brainwashed. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. So, I mean, one thing you can do if you do have that faith is pray for them. I think that's important to do. And also, don't rub it in their face. Let's not, they post these videos screaming when Trump wins. Let's not bring any more attention to it. Don't repost it. Don't reshare it. Don't comment on it. Just let it go. If you do run into a situation, where someone's screaming at you for voting for Trump and saying you're a terrible person, you should go to hell, just say, God bless you, and leave. Remove yourself from the situation. There's going to be some people that won't come back. Some people they're gone. They're broken, and unfortunately, it's very sad, but they're not going to be able to really participate in a civilized society, I don't think, unfortunately. But there's going to be people. There's going to be people who they're going to see, Bobby Kennedy take the toxins and chemicals and the dyes out of food. They're going to see the Ukraine war end and the destruction that happened there that didn't need to happen. They're going to see peace. They're going to see a prosperous economy where their friends can start a business and it's not as hard to do as it's been for the past 60 years. And a lot of people will start to wake up. And I think that's really the golden age.
I think we're headed toward it. We just have to be very alert. It feels a little too quiet. It feels a little too quiet. This isn't just licking your wounds because these people are not.
Oh, they're planning.
Yeah. These are puppeteers, puppet masters, masters of deceit, deception, and at the highest levels. I don't think they don't have a contingency plan. I don't know what that could look like with millions of people that were dumped to strategic locations to potentially flip a switch, and all of a sudden it's a Tet offensive, and you have 20 different attacks pop up in the country at the same day.
I would say think about this, Brian. Over $1 billion, you probably have the exact number, was spent by the Harris campaign, right? Who are the people who gave the majority of that money? What's happening right now, those people behind the scenes, they want answers, and they want to know what the heck happened, and they want to know, should we still be doing business with you? You seem incompetent. So they might be reshuffling who they're getting behind, who they're backing, and that could lead into, the Obamas losing their influence, losing their control, and somebody else coming in, getting that backing. So keep an eye out for that. But we're going to have to wrap this show. I want to give you the chance to talk about why people should be watching Agree to Disagree and anything else that you're working on, any parting words, anything else you got, rant away. Weave it up. Weave it up.
They call it the wide weave. Thank you, John. Always great to talk. John sent me a text yesterday. He's like, hey, you want to come on a show on Friday? I go, yeah, sounds good. Just let me know what time. I got one thing I got to do, but yeah, sure. I go, you want to jump on my show? He's like, when is that? Like in 7 minutes? I said at 3. He goes, what, today? In 7 minutes? I'm like, yeah, here's the link if you can. So thanks for jumping on yesterday.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, I mean, these are therapy sessions. I call the sports show that I do the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Politics is frustrating and sports is frustrating, especially when you're a Cleveland fan. But, it's through conversations, better conversations, more conversations, that we really get to settle and sort some of the stuff that's bouncing around in our heads. So that's what I've always been doing with the New American Media. That's the company I started 13 years ago. And of course, the Agree to Disagree show is a flagship program there. And yeah, we've had amazing conversations with people over those 13 years, 1,500 videos on YouTube, more of them on Odyssey. Find our Odyssey account because YouTube likes to censor things without cause. But yeah, we've realized a long time ago that the old American media failed us, that we're just dealing with it. The same thing that a lot of Democrat supporters are waking up to this week and having it to look in the mirror and go, what is going on? It's like that famous Simpsons meme. Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are out of touch. No, it's you that are out of touch. And these people are having a chance to really question who's been delivering in them, the who, what, where, when, why, and the fact that they've been being played for fools, divided. The more distracted we are with the shiny, jiggling ring of keys, they're digging into our back pocket, stealing our dollars, and we're just being distracted, being told that we're such an awful country, we're awful people, you should hate this group and that group and hate that group. And it's the Obama doctrine. Obama, you trace it back. It's not like the only problems in America ever started with Obama, but my God, we used to be able to disagree on policy. Whatever this thing was, staging the coups, it's gone into Crazyville. And I'm super excited to see so many people activated right now. The New American Media changed our logo and our intro. It's literally a battlefield of some rolling hills and some clouds passing through, and you hear explosions, some concussion grenades, and you see a flag being dropped, and then a couple more explosions, and then the flag's raised again. It's upside down. That's a symbol for a nation in distress. I did that maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and I started the New American Media to try to stop it from getting this bad. I changed the logo going, oh my God, I'm sending out an SOS. We are on the verge of having no country. We're not done. Reagan said we're only one generation away. Freedom is not passed to each other as a birthright in our blood. You got to fight for it every generation. And we did. The results that came in, we're hearing people say you have converted a generation of Americans into MAGA. The Democrat Party is done. The Obama doctrine is done. The Diddy, Epstein, blackmail, bribery, corruption, and control is done. Like B says, thank you guys. Mainstream media is dying. They're not dying. They
100%.
are done. They're twitching like Weekend at Bernie's at the end of Strings, and you got Obama pulling the puppet strings. It's done.
It's like after you shoot a deer and then the deer's on the ground twitching, but it's dead.
You have muscle spasms that are unrelated. If you're butchering a bird, and it could run around the yard for a little bit. That is what happened, because it's not mainstream. We don't use the word mainstream. I call it lying legacy media. They're propagandists, and they are purveyors of mind-numbing intoxicants. They have caused as many health problems as our bastardized food. So I'm excited to cover things on the New American Media. The places to follow it, obviously Rumble, the New American Media, YouTube, the New American Media. We did a documentary. Like I said, we went and met up with a guy named Grizzly, who we had on Agree to Disagree show, a friend of a friend. I'm in an activist group with him, and his friend
What a
was
name,
down there.
Grizzly. I love it.
Yeah, he runs Grizzly Tattoos in Gate City, Virginia. And Blake Wally came up from outside of Nashville. I met him from where I was coming from, and we stayed in the tattoo shop for 2 days. And we took I filled my 4Runner up with supplies. Wow. We got donations from filled it. I couldn't fit anything more in there, from Lowe's and Advance Auto Parts and Dick's Sporting Goods. And we just delivered supplies to him. We put it on the back of a tractor trailer and drove 2 hours into right over where Chimney Rock and some of the worst hit areas were in North Carolina. And we made several donation stops along the way. And we saw at the back of one of the gas stations, there were 20 different semi trucks. And we put 20 bottles of water, the big jugs on each of and different items were going to different churches. Then from the church, they would hop onto an ATV and go through a river valley because the bridge washed away, because there's people up on that hillside that they've had no help. They've had no power. They've had no running water for two weeks. So we made a documentary about that. I'm proud of it. I like it. It tells a story. And so we went around with Grizzly. It's called Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. Blake did a really good job, both filming some and editing. Did a great job editing, because I'm great at gathering content, not so great at getting it out in a timely manner. But we all have our pros and cons, our pluses and minuses. So
can't do everything. You got to stick with what you're good at. You double down on what you're good at.
I've heard that, but when you're that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where you're throwing the pitch and then you run back and you hit the pitch and then you run out and you catch it and then you throw yourself out tagging from third. It's like that's what it feels like running an independent media network on your own or with a loose conglomeration of friends and compatriots. But that's a good one to check out. We also went to January 6th and did a documentary, J6. Oh, geez, what did I call it? The unreleased J6 files. That's right there on the homepage. So we do documentaries. We do the Agree to Disagree show every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's our current time slot. That may change in the future, but you'll roll with it. It's the internet. You can find it on demand whenever. But yeah, our podcast for the Agree to Disagree show and the Unhappy Hour are both on Spotify. We're on Truth Social, the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM for the New American Media. So TNAM and TNAM Chat on Signal and Telegram. Those are great backup networks. All of our TNAM groups are on Facebook, and we do have a Facebook page that mirrors what we post on the Instagram feed. Instagram is TNAM Official, and then the New American Media, 2 of those. But yeah, we're in all these places. If you jump into our groups, we're nonstop sharing memes, sharing stories, doing research. The New American Media never stops, and we're never going to get everything right, but we're always going to try, and we're never going to let somebody bribe us, pay us money to mislead you. And that's why people have been following us all these years. That's why we keep cranking out new content and digging into stories that are underreported, like North Carolina, for example, the most recent one. And it was a pleasure joining you today, and we'll talk again soon. Let's not wait so long. I think we had a nice little break there, but I think for me, John, I tried to go into civilian life. I went and worked a normal job, and I did this. I was working in sales here. I was working in a different industry here, but kind of head down, still running the New American Media. But what was the point in cranking out content? By the way, the best place to follow us is on X at American_media_, and then the other one is the Unhappy Hour _ on X. But prior to Elon taking X and prior to having Truth Social and Telegram and Signal, I just kind of peeled back into civilian life. I'm like, why am I continuing to spend I don't know how many thousands of hours I've put into this in my lifetime. They say 10,000 hours to become a success. I don't know how many I'm at, but I've been on this for a decade and a half. And I just kind of said, well, why am I putting all this energy in when they don't let anyone see our content? They derank it, they deboost it, they demonetize it, they demonize it. These people suck. What can I do? So thankfully now we're out on X. We're in all of these other locations, continuing to crank out the content. And I think the track record speaks for itself. We've had just some incredible cameos, conversations over the years. And yeah, if anyone wants to check out the archives, it's just the New American Media, wherever you can find us. And yeah, I think sometimes we have to put things in perspective. And America was being driven off of a cliff. I'll be much more. I can take one super long sigh of relief once he's actually sworn in on January 20th, and we can just get started, because these guys are desperate and they're out of touch and they're dangerous when cornered like this. But that being said, they left us with no choice. I did what I had to do. You're doing this because you know what you have to do, and that's trying to speak some more sanity into a crazy world and try to counterbalance the lunacy. So that's what the New American Media is, and I appreciate you inviting me on today, John.
100%, Brian. Well, it is always a pleasure on our side here at Lions of Liberty having you on Finding Freedom, or eventually, having you on Me Mores. That'll be awesome. Look forward to that. So thanks for coming on the show. And
we will do that.
We'll talk soon, Brian. It's lost your feed there. You still there?
Oh yeah, I'm still there. I just paused dramatically because I talked over your outro. And B is saying, can you link Brian's channel in the description, please? I think he does.
I will. Yeah, I will link to all of Brian's everything Brian just said there. I will link to on the show notes page at lionsofliberty.com. So
awesome.
Thanks again, Brian.
Today. Awesome comments from the people on the side. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. Yeah, come on back, B, for this show, for Brian McWilliams' show, for Me Mores. We'd love to see you in the chat. All right, we'll see you, buddy. All right, that is a wrap for today's episode of Finding Freedom. And I will see you all next week with another awesome show. We will be getting into the show that I talked about earlier, which we had to cancel, which focuses on a alternative health clinic in the Andes Mountains. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to get into that topic. But for now, just enjoy and breathe in the coming golden age that is almost upon us here as we get into January and the swearing in of President Donald Trump, number 47. It's been a crazy ride, to get here, but I can't imagine it really happening any other way. And as Brian and I talked about on the show, this is the best way for it to happen, with Trump not being in for 4 years and coming back in. So looking forward to seeing what these next 4 years hold and beyond. Of course, here at Lions of Liberty, we will be following along and giving you our opinions and trying to hold the Trump administration accountable as best we can through all of this. So you can follow us on all of our social media at Lions of Liberty. You can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, at John Odermatt. And of course, please subscribe to our channels on, if it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube or Rumble, wherever it is, and you're watching, you're listening, subscribe, leave a comment, leave us a rating, leave us a review. It all helps, and we tremendously appreciate it. So with that being said, I'll see y'all next week. In the meantime, always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.